Very good. Let's bring your attention back to the throat, focusing all your attention on the throat area. And as we illuminate the throat, do you still feel that energy and that sensation in that space?
I do. It's just not as intense, but it's still there.
Okay. And so as we connect very deeply with that throat energy, connecting very deeply with that throat energy, if you could give that a color, what color would it be?
The first thing that came up was pink again.
Okay, very good. And let's just see if that energy in the throat, if it could speak with us, what would it say?
This is old energy. First, this is a different lifetime of energy.
Very good. And that old energy, do you get a sense of what emotion is attached to it?
Shame.
So we are going to travel once again through time and space back to the lifetime connected with the shame, traveling through time and space, finding that lifetime where the shame was first experienced. And be there now. Tell me where you are or what you notice.
I've been here before. This is a place where I was not allowed to speak freely.
Mm-hmm.
This was a place where I was considered a witch, a healer, an invoker, and I was working with certain elites, but at the same time, I was also shunned.
Tell me what it was that happened to you to create the shame in that lifetime.
Their inability to really ever say who I really was or what I really was for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was hidden. I was kept secret,
How did that make you feel?
like less than them,
Mm-hmm.
small,
Who
even
were,
though I knew I wasn't.
who were these elites that you were working with?
They're a type of royalty, but I can't see them. I can't see their figures. I can't see their faces.
And how were they working with you? What were you providing for them?
Medicine,
Mm-hmm.
plant medicines, to keep them physically available and able. And also, I was there for them in a sense of, for women mostly, I was there to help raise and birth.
And so do you feel like you were almost kept away for their purposes only, or did you have any freedoms?
For their purposes only.
Mm-hmm. And so, as we're connected with this lifetime, what do you need to understand about the purpose of living that life? What's important to know?
Remaining humble in my empowerment and having a sense of softness for humanity. For so much of the time, the ego doesn't know what it does. It's a primitive part of who we are, which needs to be, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be shunned or afraid or scared or in fear of the totality of the experience.
Very good. Very good. And so, let's do a little bit of healing around this lifetime. And I want you to see yourself in that life. And I want you to have a different experience, one where you are able to speak your truth, to stand up for yourself, and to be exactly who you came there to be, with all of the freedoms that you desire to have. We're going to bring in that beautiful white light, and that white light begins to transform that life begins to assist you with expanding into that soul that you came there to be. And I want you to breathe in that white light into your throat, just seeing that throat begin to open. All of those words that you held back are just easily and effortlessly beginning to flow. And as we shift the energy of that lifetime, tell me what you notice now or what happens there.
A sense of security to know that that was also not the end. There is an evolution coming. And that I was a part of the beginning of recognition and recognizing that there's so much more to learn.
Tell me more about that evolution and being part of the beginning. What do you need to know about that?
The beginning of the shift of the world's consciousness, trusting that we always have everything we need, and this sense of power that humans feel that they have. They really don't have any control, but yet they have trust, and the trust is the most empowering part of being human.
Yes. And so this shift in consciousness, it's been happening for a very long time, hasn't it?
Yes, very long.
Mm-hmm.
Centuries.
What is it back in those days, back in that different time period, that was creating that shift in consciousness? What did you experience in that life that was helping to shift?
Humans' awareness of themselves was expanding, finding their own way outside of anything that was organized or presented to be the only one way. Humans were starting to think for themselves and stand up for themselves and to move away from the paradigm that was forced upon them.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And so bringing your attention back to your throat, in what way are you holding yourself back from speaking your truth? What do you need to know about this life?
Being judged,
Mm-hmm.
unconsciously being judged.
And so, what do you need to know or understand about the judgment of others in this life?
Judgments only come from what they don't know, or they don't feel that they are available or fearful of. Really, more for what they're fearful of. We're actually available, but it's what we're scared of that makes us unavailable. So the judgments come from that incapability of being able to expand beyond their own belief system. And their own belief system is also an imprisonment if they allow it to be. So it's this evolution that's here, and we are reaching so much for it, but we've always had it. The judgment is letting go of what we think we know, rather being in a spaciousness of what we don't and being comfortable with it.
Judgment is a hard one to let go of. What do we need
Mm-hmm.
to know about releasing that judgment? What would help us to let go of that more?
Knowing that the consciousness is all the same. We are all the same. There really is no difference.
Beautiful. Very good. So let's bring in an energy just to assist with transmuting any of those old stuck energies from that lifetime. What color would you like to use?
Green.
Let's begin to channel in that beautiful green energy. The guides will begin to channel that in. We're setting the intention to release any additional shame connected to past lifetimes where you weren't able to speak up for yourself or speak out or be who you truly were for fear of judgment or for any other reason. Just expanding that energy out, making sure that that chakra is balanced and aligned and nice and bright. Tell me how that feels or what you notice.
And noticing the sense of loss, but also the feeling of gain.
Tell me about that sense of loss.
There's a lessening and losing the attachment of the ego, wanting to be overly recognized, but at the same time already recognized. So the gain is knowing that I'm always seen, I'm always heard, and it doesn't always need to be in human form, but it's always there.
Very good. Beautiful. So let's do one more scan of the body. Let's ask the guides to begin to illuminate the body, bringing your awareness to any additional areas of the body we need to take a deeper look at, any healing, any attachments we need to release. Tell me if anything else stands out to you.
There's something going on in my right foot and the top portion of my foot into my first and second toe.
Very good. Now, as you connect with the energy in the right foot, as we connect with that energy in the right foot, do you get a sense if that is a conscious attachment, or does that feel like a trapped or a blocked energy in that area?
It feels like a gripping of something.
Gripping, very good.
I almost saw like a hand holding on to it.
Very good. And that gripping energy there in the foot, is that a male or a female energy?
It's once again male.
Very good. And this male energy there in the foot, does it have a name that we can call it?
Luke.
And Luke, how old are you?
10.
Luke, as you think back to that last time that you had a physical human body, thinking back to that last day of your life, tell me what happened to you.
I committed suicide.
What was it, Luke, that caused you to commit suicide? Can you recall?
Being neglected by my family, not being wanted.
How did that make you feel, sweetheart?
Like I wanted to die.
Tell me how it is that you took your life.
I hung myself.
Luke, how long, at what age did you attach to Dawn?
5 years ago.
What was she going through at the time that allowed you to attach to her?
She was lost in finding her way with her own authenticity.
And so as you've been attached with her for the last 5 years, tell me some of the issues that you've been causing for her.
Getting looped into trauma, not feeling wanted, not feeling safe. That was a trauma that I felt.
Yes. So, Luke, I'm going to call upon all the angels that are here with us today to just begin to surround you. And as they surround you, they are going to begin to bring in more love than you can even imagine, bringing in a beautiful healing energy, healing the body from any damage that was done from that experience that ended your life. And Luke, I'm going to ask Archangel Michael to speak with you. And I want him to tell you why it was that you experienced so much difficulty in that lifetime. Tell me what he says.
Believe it or not, to enhance you out of pain.
Yes. And what does he want you to know or understand about this next part of your journey? What does he say to you?
You don't have to be in pain anymore. You know that we have everything that you need. And when you let go, you will no longer experience any more trauma.
Very good. Luke, I want you to look around and find that beautiful light of source. Tell me when you see it.
I see it.
Tell me who's waiting there for you.
Myself, my whole self, not a fractured part of myself anymore.
Oh, beautiful. Very good. Luke, are you ready to rejoin that whole of
Yes,
who you are? Very
I am.
good. Beautiful. So the archangels are going to assist you, Luke, with releasing. I want you to pull all of your energy up and out of the right foot. Michael is going to gently place the net of light around you there, and he's going to assist in pulling all of your energy up and out of the foot. I see it just lifting right off. Tell me, Luke, when you've got all of your energy completely disconnected.
I am.
Very good. Luke, is there anything that you want to say to Dawn before you leave?
You're amazing. I let you go. You are free. You are beautiful. And you are now what I see in myself.
That is so beautiful. Luke, we're going to ask the angels to assist you with any additional healing you need, sending you all the love and helping you fully reintegrate with the whole of your soul. We send you with so much light and love. Dawn, let's begin to channel in an energy into the feet. Which would you like to use? What color?
Blue.
So asking the guides to begin to channel that beautiful blue. I want you to just see that blue flow in right there to the right foot, into the toes, everywhere that Luke was attached, expanding that energy up. I want to pull that blue energy all the way up through the center of the body. That blue is a very high frequency energy, and it has the power to transmute and heal and release. I'm also going to ask Archangel Michael to take the net of light and pull it all the way up Dawn's energy field and physical body, magnetizing any additional AI, any darker energies, any implants, or anything in or around the body that's not supposed to be there. And as that net flows all the way up through the body, pulling out of the crown, we're going to also pull that blue energy all the way up, connecting into each lower chakra, first the root, beginning to activate and balance and align that chakra, releasing any density or heavy energies there. We're going to bring that energy up into the sacral. We want to focus on the sacral, making sure that that energy center is completely open and active, bringing it into balance and alignment, feeling that energy begin to expand and spin, bringing that beautiful blue energy up into the solar plexus, radiating out, bringing in the feelings of power, of empowerment, being able to step even more into who you came here to be. Feel that energy flowing up the center of the body into the heart, breaking down any walls, any blockages, any energy that's stuck in that heart space. We want to flush it out. Asking the guides to really flush out the energy of the heart space, making sure that that's nice and open and expanded. And that energy is going to flow into every organ, every cell of your body. Feel that beautiful blue energy flow up into the throat. Once again, releasing any additional density that's remaining there. Opening that energy center, allowing the energy to flow through with ease and effortlessness. Feeling it continue its way all the way up to the third eye, activating that third eye chakra, removing any blocks, making sure that you're very tuned into your spiritual vision, even more than you are at the moment. And then bringing that energy up and out of the crown. As it flows up and out of the crown, we're going to allow that beautiful blue energy to create a sphere of light around you. And we're going to push that energy out into the auric field. And as it pushes out into the auric field and completely surrounds you, I want you to see any tears or cracks or rips or holes in the aura. They're being repaired. I'm going to ask the guides and the angels to do a sweep of the aura, removing any dense, heavy energies, anything that's not supposed to be there. And asking the guides and angels to place an extra additional layer of light in whatever color is needed to strengthen that auric field, keeping Dawn's energy nice and bright and keeping her safe from future attachments. And as that energy begins to flow through you and around you, tell me how that feels or what you notice.
A little bit of tingling in my body and feeling very comfortable and comforted.
Very good. I'm going to ask the higher self to do one final scan. Is there anything else that we need to check on or be aware of?
No.
Very good. So I want you to bring your attention back to that garden, that beautiful, beautiful garden. I want you to look around. Tell me if there's anything that you notice or anything that stands out to you in this place.
It feels cool, but yet warm at the same time and inviting. There's so much green. There's still plenty of sunshine shining through all the different trees, all the different species of plant.
Sounds beautiful. And in this place, with all of these beautiful plants and all of the sunshine shining down, do you feel as though you have a body?
No,
Tell me what you feel like.
I feel light. I feel like I am in between density and sky.
Very good. And so, as this light being in this place, do you feel as though you can move around at all?
Yes,
Allow yourself to move forward, just moving around in the scene. Tell me where you go, what you see.
bit of a darker forest area, all kinds of little bugs and insects.
What else do you notice?
Rising upward now, up into the canopies of the trees and seeing all of the tops of the trees.
How does that feel?
Feels free, and it also feels light, and it feels so wide, can see so far, but also see the polarity of the light and the light coming through the trees when I go up and down from the top of the tree to the bottom of the tree, just feeling the polarity.
Tell me more about that polarity.
The polarity of seeing and understanding the polarity of light and dark and how significant they each are. They're both as beautiful as one another.
Tell me more about that, about the differences between the light and the dark.
It's a softness around this feeling of also feeling empowered in darkness. But darkness is so temporary, and the light is always there. The light is always there when we don't see it. Even when it is dark, the light is still always there. The polarity is the feeling of density. The polarity is the feeling of the senses. The polarity is the human form. So it's both. It's the duality as well as the polarity, is what I'm seeing.
Tell me more about the human form and how that keeps us in that density.
The density of the mind is the density. The mind can be a servant, or it can also be a monster. And that's the density in which way we allow it to guide us, whether we are controlling it and driving it, or it's controlling us and driving us, whether we feel light or we feel dense.
Why is it so difficult to control the mind? Why do we struggle with that so much?
We haven't learned entirely how to use it yet. We're stretching ourselves to learn how to use more of it, to move the mind into the consciousness and infuse the two. That's where we are. That's what we're doing. It's shedding old paradigms of the control of a man and women controlling each other. Rather, it's not about control at all. It's all about letting go and being free and understanding that the mind is the freedom, not the control. The freedom to remember, the freedom to love and to live unconditionally, the freedom to feel God and Goddess, the presence of infinity. It's hard for us to understand in the mind.
It is hard for us to understand. And I feel like so many of us get stuck in looping thoughts, and it's hard to control that. What else can you share with us about the mind? What do we need to know or understand?
So much more compassion. That's what we need to understand, that love is infinite and so are we. And when we're in those feeling states, when we feel that goodness and that greatness, is to remember that that is exactly what we are. We only shrink because we don't understand, or we get confused, and we get looped into emotions that aren't born to us. They're not our birthright, they're not born to us. They have been created as a condition to keep controlling each other, to keep trying to create outcomes of resistance, of remembering. To understand compassion is to let go. To non harm ourselves and each other is to feel love. This is the rising.
Tell me more about the rising and how you see that. How do you
We
see
see
that happening? Go ahead.
the rising. The rising is the consciousness of each other and ourselves, into being authentic again. And yet we get to be authentic in a different sense, a different dimension, also being in form. We can elevate ourselves into a different dimension. We have and had such a primitive part of our reality as human beings, but yet at the same time, we've always been gifted. At first, we were surviving, we were understanding what it was to be in a body, and now we understand this. Now we get to go and move through the understanding of the body and move into energy that is everywhere and everything. This is the rising,
Mm.
understanding energy beyond emotions, the feeling of energy, the feeling and seeing, and to tap into all of our gifts. As though we are a new wave of humans. We are the wave of humans and the spirits and all of our ancestors, and everybody wants to come together.
Tell me more about these new humans and what we're evolving into.
We're evolving into the God particles and molecules that we're made of. We don't have to worry so much about being the supreme being, because we are the supreme being. Don't have to worry so much about survival, because we know that we're going to survive past the body. This is also the rising of the new human, that we have tribe. Tribe is consciousness. It's not just tribal human form anymore. It is all of consciousness in all forms. Remembering that humans can also be more than just human. Humans are also extraterrestrial energy and ethereal energy and angelic energy, God energy. And when we realize this, we can all become oneness again. and heal and transform.
What would it look like for us to all move back into that state of oneness?
Complete and total utter healing.
Seems like a big task to get us there. How do we work towards that healing on an individual level?
Passion is a huge part of it. We must get back to nature, the natural part of us. Remembering all the different collective information and wisdom that's in nature, that is what's going to help us get there individually. Remembering passion, remembering creativity, remembering imagination. Imagination is what it connects us to outside of our human form to create this space to grow into. But yet, while being in human form, nature is what can heal us. And going back to the traditions in which we came from, the traditions from the earth and the plants, the sun and the moon, the stars, the planets, they're packed full of all the information we need. It's the tapping, the infinite tapping to come back to it. Coming together is how we can do this.
Tell me about some of those traditions that you mentioned. What do we need to know about those?
The plants have the information. The rivers, the water, the fire, all the elements that come from Mama Gaia, they all have the wisdom, they all have the intelligence that we need to tap into. They've been here for an infinite amount of time. All they do is absorb without any judgment. They don't need to be individualized because they know they are everything. The plant's wisdom to flow into us by taking on all of the plants and the wisdom through them, by touching, by feeling, by ingesting, by communicating with, by sitting with.
Beautiful. What else do we need to understand or know about the power of nature and how it can assist us on this evolution of consciousness that we're moving through?
It helps us remember the love to keep regenerating, the love to keep being here. As there always is and ever has been choice, but we keep incarnating just as the plants do, we do. We want and desire to learn and elevate and to expand and developing a new world through it. We keep coming back to break free over and over again, and it's coming. It's coming. This is how the plants remind us. They keep coming too. They keep coming no matter if they've been burned, they've been destroyed. They keep recreating, as so do we.
Tell me more about this new world that we're moving into and what we'll experience.
The sense of not being afraid or fearful of others, of other beings, of other energies. To be able to expand our mind into those spaces of feeling the totality of form, to be able to experience senses without needing to be reformed or to be consoled in an organized way. We can just live so freely through our imagination and know that there's so much beauty in what we've considered chaos, because there really is no such thing. It's just it's a reorder, reorganizing into a world that doesn't have fear. And when we don't have fear, we don't need to control one another.
Beautiful. And so, where are we at the moment? A lot of density is surfacing, a lot of fears are coming up. Where are humans right now in this process of releasing these fears?
Finding our way through each other, finding our way through our commonness, through our unity, through our community, finding our way through remembering how we got where we are and holding the space to continue forward. It's interesting because there's old methods that have resurfaced and they've come full circle for these exact purposes. It's all about coming together in union. There's a unionship. This is what propels us forward, moving farther away from man-controlled technology, rather into our supreme technology, through instruments, through music, through sound, through the senses, actually, through the senses, primordial senses.
Tell me more about those senses. What's important for us to know?
The vibration and the frequency is changing. Therefore, hearing, listening, seeing, all of it is still a sense of vibration and sound. And clearing ourselves through sound. Sound is a great way to heal and to clear and to balance. Sound through linguistics, sound through reading. You can even read, find sound because it speaks to you, communicate. So communication, sound, frequency, vibration. It's who we actually are.
How have we disconnected from our senses through the use of some of these technologies that we have?
It scrambles. The frequencies don't match. It's a vibration that is a disturbance or a distraction from our true essence, from our frequency that's untainted. This is tainting our frequency. It's staining it. It's creating us to look in the wrong places, to look for information that is being controlled. So this is a control again. Once again, the transmitting of controlling humans through fear, so that the fear is such a low frequency or vibration, and that's what's getting us scrambled.
Very good. What other information about the shift in consciousness is important for us to know at this time?
To recognize where technology can be useful, but yet the technology can be useful tangibly, but mostly the technology is of mind. The mind has always been the technology, and that's actually how we create it and form. So to remember that what we seek is already here. It's already there. It's already available. Sometimes we can use these tools that we find in our reality to maybe jump over a hurdle that we're being um, shown at the moment or blocked by. And this just helps propel us into, again, still one another. Because through each other's experiences is actually how we've always tribally found our way. It's coming back to that. So we can utilize the evolution of where we've come through with mankind, where we've evolved, but remembering that most of this technology has actually still come from outside of ourselves through other beings. And we do not need to, the word, abuse. And mankind continues to abuse and distort or pervert the wisdom that comes in for their own self-serving. So we can come into more of a selfless place. We can get to where we're going. It's all about the paradigm shift, and that all begins with each one of us. You can find the safety in one another once again, to know that we're not alone in any of it, and we never have been.
Beautiful. And what is Dawn's role on this earth at this time? What is she here to do?
She's here to impart and intake, drawing all of the things that she's learned through lifetimes and to bring it forth till now. This is the bright light that she follows. She follows this deep and rooted witch inside of her, and the witch is just the intelligence through time that's enveloped all the experiences to now. And this is where she is finding an angelic side of herself and bringing that intelligence of the ethereal part of herself in through the human being, and being the human, and shining this through communication and through sensibility through others and their uprising. So it's the collective consciousness in all of the ways that it wants to be shown and run through her. And it's going to continue to change and expand and transmute and redesign in a way it sees itself to need to be with what's in front of her at the time.
Beautiful. She wants to know how she can heighten her intuition. What does she need to know about that?
To remain clear of the human egoic desires, but rather the spirit and what it desires and what it wants to feel. And it can be through the body and it can be through connection, but remembering to always keep a consciousness about how you employ those connections.
Tell her more about how she employs those connections, anything that she needs to know specifically about that.
That love can be felt in so many different ways. And it's okay to feel it in all the ways as long as it's not creating a destructive abuse or any of the abuse patterns that she has felt before. And it doesn't bring joy, it doesn't bring peace. But to find these connections in ways that it does, and that's following the clarity and the alignment of the primitive part of her ego, that part of herself that is still there that wants to desire touch and sensuality and sexuality, but yet also finding it in such a way that is not harming. Again, it's compassionate. It's compassionate to feel and see each other's soul. So you don't necessarily have to be limited, but to deepen, that's what it is. It's to deepen. It's to deepen the sense of connection without finding pain or hurt in it or an unconsciousness, and that's where that comes from. So always connecting with consciousness, looking for depth. It's here, it's there, it's within you, and it's within everybody. And if you want to find that depth, you can, but just be aware and mindful.
Very good. Very good. And she wants to know more about her spiritual journey. What else can you share with her about that?
As soon as you're being summoned or called, just follow. Follow with the belief of knowing that you're completely abundant and you're prosperous with anything and everything that you do and everything that you touch. It's success to let go of the old paradigm of the way that you've adopted or been conditioned or your system of beliefs. Just follow. Just follow the lead of me and trust it, as I've never taken you anywhere that you haven't been ready for.
Very good. She's experienced some patterns that she feels like came from her father. And she's just wondering why these patterns have continued to surface in her life. What can you share with her about that?
If there's a mastery in this, there's a mastery in coming up and arising from these old patterns. There's an empathy and a sympathy that had to be discovered through it. To feel a sense of complete empathy of humans and the darkness and the shadows that come from part of this experience of having a human experience and being able to, she wants so badly to, and not so badly, but she has such an urge to communicate and feel through the senses of feeling human. The angelic part of ourselves wants to feel it. To feel that, we must have sympathy, compassion, and empathy. And to finding her way through her shadows, this was the way. This was the way to be able to connect on those deep, deep, sincere levels of pain and suffering. And there was times of pain and suffering, but there's so much freedom now because it's done. There's no more to be found in that pain and suffering. But it was something to find a connection with through other beings to help them find their way as she found her own.
Beautiful. And she wonders why the pattern of alcohol has been coming up, especially in the last couple of years. Has anything been creating that within her life, or why is she experiencing those issues?
Because she felt alone. She felt alone, and she never was. There was a fear of loneliness, and afraid of being alone. Alone in her thoughts, alone in her emotions, alone in feeling different or outside of what she sees and what other people speak of. And there is no loneliness there. It doesn't exist. The ego pulls you away into those places of darkness to make you feel like you're alone, and you're not alone. So those patterns of abuse is because you think you can control. And those are the only times you can control, but destroying yourself and destroying yourself physically isn't going to repair any of that. You always have control of yourself and your actions and how you respond. It's time to let go. The thought of being alone.
Very good. And so she had a person that came into her life that took her down a darker path. What can you tell her about that experience? What does she need to understand?
As I was seeing the polarity and the duality, that's what she needed to experience. She needed to experience that we have the right to choose, and we have the power to choose anytime, at any moment, to change our reality, to change what we're doing, to change what we're experiencing, but to yet understand that it is okay to be human and to fall and to fail and to make mistakes, because you gain so much. You don't lose unless you continue to make the same ones over and over again in repetition. That's the only way we lose. And we're not here, and I'm not here to lose. That sense of empowerment and love, self-love. He had to come in to show me that, to not give my power away.
Very good. She wants to know about diversification of her work life. In what ways can she expand in her business?
Remodeling into the feminine. That's really it. That's all she needs to do. Into the nurturing and nourishing feminine energy that she has been leaning into more and more and more recently. And to let go of anybody's need for her, but rather lean into the desire of them wanting to be with her. And to be into how she channels all of her talents. And if there is a misalignment there, to just trust that it's okay. It's okay. All the people that are meant to be will stay, and all the ones that are meant to go will go, to create space for all of the splendor and all the wonderment that she wants to experience. That there is no lack. So we're recreating space here for lack to go away, because it doesn't exist.
What does the future hold for her? What do you see?
Continuing to teach and hold space for human development, not just in herself, but everyone. Also be a student of her own kinship with herself and her body, and with her relations with all others. Continuing to elevate and break free from conditioning, negative conditioning to be specific.
Very good. And anything she needs to know about breaking free of that negative conditioning?
To lean into others when she needs it. And there's a safety in being honest, even when people maybe don't understand. But it's always being in trusting space to be aligned with the people, and they will show up exactly as they show up. They will be there when they need to show up for you. They'll be the exact right person, the exact right soul to help, support, whatever it is that I need to learn.
Very good. She wants to know why it is that she's had disappointment and betrayal around women who call themselves good friends or sisters. What does she need to know about that?
There's a deeper healing with women There's so much of a depth of healing that is needing to come from the destructive nature of women that have with women because of their false sense of insecurity around men. So there's a feminine uprising that's coming, and the men are here to support it rather than take away from it. And so she's a part of this change. But to feel and know that she's a part of this change, she had to go through what she had to go through. To recognize where the ego of a woman and the part of a woman that wasn't naturally formed to be in a woman's femininity, to recognize it and see it before it becomes destructive and before it becomes painful or hurtful or that sense of betrayal comes in. Women need to stop with the competition, as there is nothing, there's no reason for any of us to compete with one another. What we need to be doing is uplifting each other and holding space, because we are the healers. We are the object of what creates humans. We are the channel of human form. We are extremely powerful. And when we realize this, we can create such a deep bond with one another, a bond that is beyond time and space. The Shakti energy, the creation of human life, the creation of all life comes from femininity, comes from feminine energy. And this is what she's here for, is to rebond this within herself. The polarity again for her was to find what it's like when it's broken. So when you know when it's broken, you can see, or when it's crooked or it's out of alignment, you don't know that until you experience it. And now she's experienced it. And there is so much trauma around this. And the drama comes from all the trauma around this. Women are exactly perfect, and they're so beautiful and so amazing, the givers of life and all life. It's the rebonding, it's the repairing. Again, finding that softness by realizing and understanding what the ego does and why it wants to compete. So again, it's having the experiences of that polarity to know that there's nothing to be afraid of. Nobody can take anything away from each one of us, women. We are born of such supreme nourishment and nurturing. We're very powerful and very wise. And if anything, the masculine energy has been a little bit fearful of that, and it's been somehow distorted through time. And the women became repressed and felt lesser of, and therefore they started competing with one another naturally. But again, this is a brokenness that's wanting to be healed, and she's a part of that.
Very good. She wants to know why she was born with some of the health concerns that she brought into this life.
Physically being challenged is going to make her stronger. It's going to make her look outside of the box. It's going to shift the way she thinks and how she develops in her life. It was a part of the plan, of the master plan of her own purposeful living. Rather than being so overly physical and over materialized with themselves, part of connecting with the physical part of herself was also to let go of the physical part of herself. Meaning there's also a physical connection, but not over identifying with the physical part of herself, because the physical part of herself is temporary. So it's releasing the over identification with the body as it works miraculously, as it was created miraculously. It does everything it needs to do on its own, to not over hyper focus on it, but know that it is always healing itself. There's outward occurrences that come in and they flow through, as we have everything we need in the body for it to protect itself. And the body will come and it will also return back to the earth when it's finished.
Beautiful. And speaking of the body trying to heal itself, she had an experience with the uterine fibroids that she has, where a large one seemed to dislodge itself and begin to exit the body. What was she experiencing there?
A rebirth into the full authentic person that she wants to be and that she wants to shine and she wants to allow to be in the world. It was literally getting rid of the old way of thinking and actually redelivering and rebirthing into herself.
Beautiful. And so there's still three that remain in her body. Anything that she needs to be concerned about with those?
No, no. There's like little flakes and little specks of the old self that wants to keep coming back in. And as more and more she steps into the truth of herself, they'll just go away.
Very good. And if there's any healing or energies that we can bring into that area of the body, we can bring that in for her today. We'd be so grateful.
Yes.
And so the kidney obstruction that she has, there was some scar tissue. They've done some work on that kidney. Anything that she needs to be aware of about that?
It's keeping strong and it can also heal. It can heal even more deeply.
Tell her what she needs to know about that healing.
There is a part of this that seems to correlate with the fibroids. So the information in which was given for the fibroids actually correlates with the kidney. Not being afraid to live in liberation of herself. This also came from another part of her existence in her timeline. It was recreated in this body.
Very good. And can we bring in some energies in for that kidney today, just to begin that process of helping it to heal?
Yes.
Very good. The leaky gut that she's experienced, what does she need to know about that?
The food is medicine and food is poison. So we must be very aware of what it is that we're bringing into our bodies. And to be able to connect with it, thank it, have gratitude. And gratitude changes the energy of the vibration of the food, the medicine that comes in, the plant, the animal, anything that comes through to nurture us, to keep us alive, to be ever so grateful for the ultimate sacrifices of all of things that give life, all of the temporary, the temperateness of life, and to really hold space for the reproduction of the aliveness that it all gives to her. So a deeper connection with the GI tract from top to bottom and understand that there is life to everything ingested and to have a deeper sense of gratitude.
Very good. And again, if we can flow some of that beautiful energy into that stomach area, into the digestive system, just assisting it in any way that we can today. And so she also wanted to understand a little bit more about how to balance her hormones. What does she need to know about that?
Continuing to remove blockages or stuck or stale energy in the body is what's going to create harmony. It's all about harmony with hormones. Hormones and harmony are the frequency in which they are in balance. So creating a chemistry of the mind, the space of the mind and the body connection is what's going to present balance. She's doing everything right now to do this.
Very good. And so she's been using her hands for quite a while with the work that she does, and she's noticing that she's having a little difficulty there. One, can we bring in some healing for those hands? But what does she need to know about her hands?
Her hands are the way that she also communicates. But right, excess communication with anything is going to create tension, and excess in any way can be harming. So to release any kind of excessive behavior or the over identification again with needing to transmit through hands and hands only. The diversification in what she's experiencing into other modalities and facilitations is going to relieve this stress, changing the world in which she's created to expand that world into other ways to create, not just through her hands, is going to relieve that stress.
Very good. And if we can just bring that energy that we've been working with today into those hands, just repairing any of that damage, strengthening those hands so that they're a little bit easier to use when she needs to. Are there any final messages or anything else that you'd like to bring through for Dawn today? Anything else she needs to know?
Anything and everything is coming, everything is here. And just to relax into it. This is the vivaciousness in which she wants to live, the playfulness. It's all here. It's not going anywhere. It's the essence of her soul. And she's always protected and safe and never alone, as I'm always here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for all of those beautiful messages today.